ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरि ओम। श्री सियावर रामचंद्र की, पवन सुत हनुमान की, महागणेश महाराज की, उमापति महादेव की, श्री सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की। ओम देवदेवोत्तम देवता सार्वभौम अखिलांड कोटि ब्रह्मांड नायक श्री महागणपति स्वामी सहित श्री परमेश्वर एवं श्री सीता लक्ष्मण हनुमत समेत श्री रामचंद्र स्वामी नमः। मंत्र पुष्पाणि समर्पयामि। ओम योपां पुष्पं वेद पशुमान् भवति चंद्रमा वा अपां पुष्पं पुष्पवान् प्रजावान् पशुमान् भवति य एवं वेद योपामायतनं वेद आयतनवान् भवति। हरि ओम। स्वस्ति प्रजाभ्यः परिपालयन्तां न्याय्येन मार्गेण महीं महिषाः गोब्राह्मणेभ्यः शुभमस्तु नित्यं। लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु। काले वर्षतु पर्जन्यः पृथिवी सस्यशालिनी देशोऽयं क्षोभरहितः ब्राह्मणाः सन्तु निर्भयाः। ओम शांति शांति शांतिः। ओम महद्भ्यो नमः। स्वामिनः भवन्तः सर्वे शृण्वन्तु। स्वस्ति मंत्रार्थाः सत्या सफला सन्तु इति महान्तो अनुगृह्णन्तु। अस्य देवदेवस्य देवता सार्वभौमस्य अखिलांड कोटि ब्रह्मांड नायकस्य सकल निष्कल स्वरूपस्य सर्वज्ञत्व सर्वेश्वरत्व सर्वान्तर्यामित्व सर्वसृष्टित्व सर्वभोक्तृत्व सर्वसंहारकत्व सर्वव्यापकत्व सर्वशक्तिमत्वादि गुणगण विभूषितस्य वेदांत वेद्यस्य लोकानुग्रहकारकस्य भक्तानुग्रहवरदस्य भगवतः श्री महागणपति स्वामी सहित श्री परमेश्वर एवं श्री सीता लक्ष्मण हनुमत समेत श्री रामचंद्र स्वामिनः नित्य पूजाभिषेक अलंकार नैवेद्य दीपाराधन कर्मणि मध्ये यत्किंचित मंत्रलोपे तंत्रलोपे क्रियालोपे शक्तिलोपे श्रद्धालोपे काललोपे नियमलोपे नैवेद्यादिविहितलोपे च सत्यं सर्वं यथा प्रोक्तं यथा शास्त्रानुष्ठितं भगवत्प्रीतिकरं भूयात् महान्तो अनुगृह्णन्तु। सर्वे जनाः सुखिनो भवन्तु। सर्वं समस्तं सन्मङ्गलानि सन्तु। अयं धर्मः उत्तरोत्तराभिवृद्धिरस्तु। राजा धार्मिको विजयी भवतु। देशोऽयं निरुपद्रवोऽस्तु। सत्यायिताः सन्तु। ओम दाशरथाय विद्महे सीतावल्लभाय धीमहि रामः प्रचोदयात्। ओम महादेव्यै च विद्महे विष्णुपत्न्यै च धीमहि तन्नो सीताः प्रचोदयात्। ओम तत्पुरुषाय विद्महे आदिशेषाय धीमहि तन्नो लक्ष्मणः प्रचोदयात्। ओम आंजनेयाय विद्महे महाबलाय धीमहि तन्नो हनुमत् प्रचोदयात्। ओम एकदन्ताय विद्महे वक्रतुण्डाय धीमहि तन्नो दन्तिः प्रचोदयात्। ओम तत्पुरुषाय विद्महे महादेवाय धीमहि तन्नो रुद्रः प्रचोदयात्। श्री सियावर रामचंद्र की, पवन सुत हनुमान की, महागणेश महाराज की, उमापति महादेव की, सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की। ओम राजाधिराजाय प्रसय्यसाहिने नमो वयं वै श्रवणाय कुर्महे तमे कामान् कामकामाय मह्यं कामेश्वरो वै श्रवणो ददातु कुबेराय वै श्रवणाय महाराजाय नमः। ओम न कर्मणा न प्रजया धनेन त्यागेनैके अमृतत्वमानसुः परेण नाकन्निहितं गुहायां विभ्राजते यद्यतयो विशन्ति वेदान्तविज्ञानसुनिश्चितार्थाः सन्न्यासयोगाद्यतयः शुद्धसत्त्वाः ते ब्रह्मलोके द्वरान्तकाले परामृतात् परिमुच्यन्ते सर्वे दशं विपापं परमेष्मभूतं यत्पुण्डरीकं पुरमज्जगद्भक्तं तत्रापि दहनं गगनं विशोकस्तस्मिन्यहं तत्तदुपाश्रव्यं यो वेदादौ स्वरः प्रोक्तो वेदान्ते च प्रतिष्ठितः तस्य प्रगतिलीनस्य यः परः स महेश्वरः न तत्र सूर्यो भाति न चन्द्रतारकं नेमा विद्युतो भान्ति कुतोऽयमग्निः तमेव भान्तमनुभाति सर्वं तस्य भाषा सर्वमिदं भाति। श्री सियावर रामचंद्र की, पवन सुत हनुमान की, महागणेश महाराज की, उमापति महादेव की, श्री सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय। सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति। There is a revibrating sound. I have to go get up and reset it and come back. Somebody. Ishavasya Upanishad. They can be provided online. Before I start, Upadesha Saram, this week will be the last week, because next week, end of next week, I am going to India. So we will not have next week because I have a couple of things to wrap up. Repeat after me. कर्तुराज्ञया प्राप्यते फलम्, ज्ञया प्राप्यते फलम्, कर्म किं परं कर्म तज्जडम्, कर्म किं परं कर्म तज्जडम्, कृतिमहो दधौ पतनकारणं कृतिमहो दधौ पतनकारणं फलमशाश्वतं गतिनिरोधकं फलमशाश्वतं गतिनिरोधकम् ईश्वरार्पितं नेच्छया कृतम् ईश्वरार्पितं नेच्छया कृतं चित्तशोधकं मुक्तिसाधकम्. So earlier we had seen the first two shlokas. Now we will be seeing the third one in continuation from the first two. We saw karturagneya prapyate phalam karma kim param karma tajjadam. Karma, though we strive a lot, put a lot of effort, but it is not as dynamic as we would want it to be. Why is it that he says karturagneya prapyate phalam? Kartuhu Agneya, Kartuhu, the Supreme Creator, it is by his default design, and we cannot outsmart the default design, because in order to get a certain result, we need to be in that premises with those different people, situations, which will yield the result that we are expecting for a long time. So, it is not a very easy scheme of things that I do my action, I get my result. So, as much as you have done your effort, the other side of those ingredients that have to come together to give you that result have to put in those efforts before we can reap that benefit. Just because we sow the seed, it is not necessary that we get the plant. If you choose to sow the seeds just before winter season, just before snow, instead of getting anything, they will be frozen to a level wherein nothing will grow. You may have put your effort, but with the proper timing, proper sequence of things that will yield its results, it will take its own time, it will take its own due course. Kritimaho dadau patana karanam phalamashashvatam gati nirodhakam. This entire world of actions, how is it? Patana karanam. Patana karanam, it will take us down below. Because the more we participate and intensely act in this world, let us start from the physical realm. So, the physical realm, it is said that as intensely we involve these organs of perception action, that soon the natural charm and the capacities will dwindle. Because those who start seeing too much of bright lights and colors, and whether it is TV or screen or whatever it is, you are soon to get big glasses and you do not like them. So, you replace them with lenses, same difference. And you have used, like you see the extreme sports, football, to have a 6 minimum height, a minimum weight for 6 would be 180 pounds. But do they look like 180 pounds? They look more like 280 pounds. Just the sheer weight of it, the body is wearing out. Plus the brutal conditions in which they apply their body,
almost every season there is one or two fatal accidents. So, they hit into each other, they jump on each other, they roll on each other, they kick each other, they pull each other. So, there is a lot of wear and tear, and every national football player understands that his lifespan of sports is only for max 5 to 7 years. Whatever dough that they have to make, it is in those 5-7 years, because the rest of your life you are pulped. You are pulped in those 7 years so much that there is not much that you can do with this physical body. It is pretty brutal. If not that brutal, we tend to wear out our organs of perception action, and it takes a toll right at the physical level. So, this is what Nachiketa said in Kathopanishad. Shvobhava martyasya yatanta kaitat sarvendriyani jarayanti tejah api sarvam jivitam alpameva tavaiva vaha stava nritya gite. The world of worldliness, how is it? Shva abhavaha. Shva abhavaha. There is no guaranteed tomorrow for anyone. Can we guarantee? We may say for our own casual interactions, we will see tomorrow. Who knows? I am talking about anybody in general. Who expected that in Twin Towers there will be aeroplanes running in? I mean, that is not a landing place for the aircrafts to land in. Who knows, did they expect? There have been earlier cases wherein the flights did hit into the buildings and the building was safe, but this entire building collapsed. I am sure all those 3,000 people had their own evening plans and a plan for week, a plan for month, a plan for year, plan for life. Who expected death would visit them that soon? Shva abhavaha, nothing has a guarantee of tomorrow. Shvobhava martyasya yadanta kaitat sarvendriyani jarayanti tejaha. All the organs of perception action are, they lose their capacities. Jarayanti tejaha. Api sarvam jivitam alpameva. However long you have lived, it does not feel like a long life. It is very interesting to note that for most of us, every day seems to be a long day, but before we realize, the years run or fly fast. I did not realize the year is already coming to an end. There is a fiscal year and there is a calendar year. Now, our academic year of Balavihar already coming to an end, next week and done. Before we realize, the years just fly by, and before we can realize, it is already 60, 70, 80, and then you look back, oh gosh, it was like yesterday. My own 9 years here, this is already the 10th year running, 9 years have gone by. And those of you who know me, it is like yesterday that I came in. So, years fly by, and however long you have lived, it does not give that satisfaction. And to that, our Ramana Maharshi ji, he adds two more factors. He says, phalam ashashvatam. Even if you had enough life, even if you had the fair chance of having put your actions and get your results, when you do get those results, how are those results? Ashashvatam. They do not stay long. Imagine if all the results were staying long, world economy would have been in a different state. Because everything that you get comes by for a lifetime. Would anything be sold at all? There will be manufactured 6 billion. Any new person coming in, they would be competing to sell everything for that new kid. That is about it. Phalama shashvatam, nothing is permanent, it is transitory in nature. Phalama shashvatam. Gati nirodhakam. See, even if the phala was shashvata, the effect of karma and phala is such that we are never satisfied with one phala. We want more and more, we want more of the same kind, we want more enhanced versions, and constantly there is change. And we get succumbed to this pattern of action, desires and tendencies. That is very difficult to come out of it. Again I said that it is difficult, but it is not impossible. We can get out of it. So, how do we get out of it? That is what is focused in the third shloka. Ishwararpitam nechaya kritam chitta shodhakam mukti sadhakam. Two things that if we take care, our actions or the day-to-day actions that we perform can be transformed into karma yoga. If we live fulfilling our responsibilities, duties and obligations, that does not cut it. That will not be called karma yoga. Many of us very loosely use this term. When somebody is a workaholic, we tend to brand them as karma yogis, because they know nothing else other than work. And it is so difficult for somebody who has been in a habit of working to make them sit. Very difficult. I can tell you my own example. Back in India, when I was in the ashram there in Vijayawada, there I used to have 16-18 hours a day, wherein I had morning classes, afternoon classes, evening classes and then the night yajna. In a month I used to have 8 yajnas, around 13 Devi groups, around 7 Balavihars and around 30 schools that were participating in Balavihar programs. There were Bhagavad Gita competitions wherein there will be 10,000-12,000 kids. So, that many volunteers to be trained so that they can go teach that many students. There was a book publication, there was Yuva Kendra, there was everything, you name it. And I was in charge of 4-5 centers that I used to run around, not just Vijayawada but other centers. And cut me from there and put me in Dallas. And what is the amount of work compared to that? In the board meetings, I used to tell her, give me more work. What you are asking me to do is so little. In the initial days, that was even worse. There was 2 Balavihars on Sunday, and there were weekly satsangs or yajnas. So, meaning effectively in a day there was 1.5 hour of job, nothing else. Somebody who has been working and working and working, and suddenly you take them off and say you work only 1 hour a day, you feel pretty restless. I started employing my time in learning and equipping for this environment. I should have finished my Spanish also then. As I had learned computer, I should have learned that also. Because now I feel like learning it, but I don't have that time to spare so that I could go learn. So, once you start getting addicted to that habit of work, even if you have few moments in your life wherein you can rest, relax and reflect on various things in life, most of us conclude that those moments as wasted moments. And that could have been used for the inner growth, but we would calculate it as it is not giving anything productive outside. Hence, therefore, it is wasted. So, getting into work and work pattern, it is such addiction, and that addiction cannot be called as karma yoga. What makes that karma as karma yoga? So the shloka says here, Ishwararpitam nechaya kritam. 2 steps, twofold. Whenever we do any action, dedicate it to the highest altar, nothing less. See, dedication again is a very subtle art. It is not like I take something and give something and I say, this is what I dedicate to you. Piece of art, I dedicate it to you. I dedicate my wealth. We keep scouting for such people to run the mission. I dedicate wealth. I can understand because it's all gross things. But dedicating action to a higher altar, it somewhere skips the beat. It's very difficult to even understand how to dedicate. Once I was talking to Balvihar kids and they asked me what is dedication. So that is when the Desi radios were up and running. I said, have you ever heard the Indian radio channels? I said, yes. There is one particular program wherein you can call in and ask for a song, and you could dedicate it to someone that you love or somebody who is celebrating that day or somebody that you are remembering or something. So I asked them in turn, what do you mean when you say that you are dedicating that song? Whereas you are not the singer, you are not the music director, you don't own that radio, you don't own that radio station. But when you say that that song by somebody else played by this radio station, you are dedicating it to somebody, what do you mean? So remembering them, we try to offer that song to that person. So what matters there is the thought that I am dedicating it to someone. I am offering it to someone. Similarly, in our day-to-day lives, we have this notion that whatever I am doing it for a certain thing, a certain cause, and for most of us, the cause happens to be our family, our own satisfaction, securities, so that again my satisfaction and family, this is where our notions are. That whatever I am doing, I feel that it is justified doing whatever I am doing because I am doing it for the family. When Ratnakara came to rob Narada, so he asked, come on, take away everything of yours and give it to me. He said, all that I have is 2 pieces cloth and a veena. I am sure you will not be able to sell this veena. What will you do with this 2 pieces of cloth? But anyway, since you are asking, I don't mind giving it to you. Why are you doing this? You rob people, you loot them, you might have killed people. Why do you do this? I said, this is for my wife and children. You know it is sin. I said, yes, but I have to do it, survival of the fittest. So you will incur certain amount of sin. He says, I am doing it for my family, for my cause, I feel it justified. So go back to your family, go back to your wife, I will stand here, go back to your family, your wife, ask them if they want to part with the sin that you are incurring. So diligently this Ratnakara goes home, asks his wife, this was the situation, would you like to partake? And he was expecting that sure you are doing it for us, I am a part of it. She says, I don't care how you feed us, how you take care of us, that is your responsibility. And the sin of it is totally yours, not ours. And that is where the disenchantment for Ratnakara was born, that he was turned into Valmiki. A deep sense of vairagya and understanding that whatever I am doing, the cause is not justified. Most of us work, most of us do actions. We should find a justified cause for performing the actions, and the best justification for whatever we do is when we can find a high altar to offer our actions. So that whenever I do, whatever I do, I have that clarity which gives me immense satisfaction of doing it because I am doing it for that cause. See, those people who even do it for a community, a society, a neighborhood, the amount of satisfaction is really great. Because of the height of altar that you offer, the satisfaction also is directly proportional to it. The higher the altar, the higher the satisfaction. So, the highest altar is where our intelligence should be, so that we can offer it to the highest altar. In fact, even offering it to the society or the nation or any other cause, if done for the highest purpose, imagine the satisfaction only multiplies. So, our Shivananda Maharaj used to say, do not do the seva of Daridra, downtrodden. You will also become Daridra one day. But instead, find Narayana in that Daridra and serve that Narayana, then what action you are performing becomes bhakti. See, for somebody who is constantly serving battered women or battered children and such environment, what is their lookout? They are constantly scanning the entire world around them for only such people. I am trying to take the mindset and notion to a subtler level here. It may feel justified, but the frustrations that you see daily, you are partaking in them. But the way to protect is that you see them as not individuals, but Narayana in that form. And whatever you are doing is not helping them, but serving that Narayana, offering your services to that Narayana. Imagine if you can expand your every aspect of life in that manner, that everything that you do is nothing but service to that Supreme alone. That here is what he says, Ishwararpitam. But that Ishwararpana buddhi also can get contaminated. How can it get contaminated? We start carrying holier than thou attitude. I am not like the rest of them. Why did you grow some horns or a tail or something special? No, I am not like the ordinary, because what I am doing to this society, nobody else does. That ego of doing something good also is a binding agent. Nothing wrong in doing good, but getting bound by the thought that I am doing good, I think still it is not that binding. I am the only one doing good. Nobody else is that qualified to do such good. What would happen to this society or to this particular service that I am offering if I were not participating and doing this good? The entire mindset gets corrupted. You are doing a very subtle thing, but by adding the layer of ego in there, we are contaminating that act of goodness. Once, somebody who looked at Gurudev's life and his immense service that he had done, he was overwhelmed with it. So he came to Gurudev And he said, Swamiji, you are extraordinary. So he looked at him, smiled, and he said, yes, I am an extra among the ordinary. He did not allow that compliment to contaminate his heart. He immediately disrobed it. And he said that I am just an extra among the ordinary. I am not even the one of the important ones. I am just an extra one. Extra among the ordinary. See, if given an opportunity, we are good at doing two things. One is to find faults with everybody around us and constantly nag about it. This person is like this person is like that. They think themselves to be too great or too good, but they are not. They actually are this. Gossip, constantly talking and seeing bad in others, flaw in others. And we don't mind adding our own 2 cents to it and exaggerating it and spreading it across, smearing it across the world. This is one thing. The second thing, when we are in complete loss of those topics, the next best topic is, with respect to all that, how good I am, what good I do. We market ourselves. Constantly, if you can observe our own patterns of discussions, we do these two things quite effectively. So, once our Guruji, in our Vedanta course, when we were learning in the ashram, he had to suddenly go for some distance place, and we had 4-5 days wherein there was no acharya, there was no classes, nothing, unusual environment. And he did not even leave us an instruction as to what to do in those 4-5 days. Some of us ran to him before he could take off in his car. So we stopped him and said, what are the instructions? So very sarcastically he said, one of you get onto the stage, talk ill about the world, and when you are when you think that you have done enough of it, start talking good about yourself. And if you find that one person's opportunity has taken enough time and there is still time enough for the rest of them to cover, then you can go one by one. He was just trying to say things at a very blunt way, that don't focus on these things, do something productive. Because this is what we usually do, and this is where our ego gets strengthened, that we do good, but we contaminate that goodness by either talking ill of others or by trying to portray ourselves as how good we are. If we are really good, we don't need marketing. It will reach out. You don't need it. It will reach out. And your idea of service should be in such an attitude that when we are doing it, you are doing it for that form of God in that place and not for name and fame. And that is where we get completely caught up in. So, the next step that he is offering is Nechaya Kritam. Perform all your responsibilities, duties and obligations with complete detachment. Detachment to what? Detachment to two aspects: the doership and the enjoyership. See, this enjoyership is so subtle that even when we sit on the seat of meditation, we start that entire effort with the attitude of enjoying it. Even sometimes when we announce for the kids, the announcements are that this event is this, these are the details. It is a fun-filled event. We are trying to tap to that aspect of enjoyership in the others. That's one of the marketing strategies. so that you would enjoy it, either at a physical level, emotional level, intellectual level. It is the enjoyment. So when they sit with that attitude on seat of meditation, and these are the usual statements that I have heard, people come back and say, today's meditation was awesome. Was it some rasgulla or laddu that you had to enjoy? It had to cross, the effort is to cross that enjoyership, but we end up being a mere enjoyer. Or sometimes you would say that today's meditation was awful. And I have always wondered at these two words. When they say awesome, they say it is good. And when they say awful, it say it is bad. I would have thought the other way. You are in awe when you see full, it should be good. You are not in awe when you see some, so it should have meant the negative aspect, but it is somehow the reverse. That we are searching for those enjoyable moments even in those processes that are to eliminate the enjoyership. That is the subtlest one. Imagine in the rest of them. To do good and to do good with detachment is one of the most difficult tasks. So offer it to a higher altar and do that good with complete detachment to the doership and the enjoyership. Ishwararpitam nechaya kritam. So what will this do? Would it give mukti? No. It would bring out lots of dirt. I am sure you all wash clothes, right? Yes. When you soak them in soap water, detergent water, the first round of cleansing, what is the color of water? Dark, black, dirty. Because the detergent water has brought in this kind of dark, dirty water, do we stop using detergent? No. Instead, after that, we give it a second round of rinsing, maybe couple of rounds of rinsing, so that there is no more dirt along with the detergent coming. And what do? We wash with clean water both the dirt and the detergent. Now, this is not a dhobi ghat, and I am not trying to explain about washing, but if you understand that process. Similarly is the internal cleansing. When with this attitude, when we start performing, lots of internal agitations will get expressed, because it is a cleansing process. There will be lots of dirt coming out. Instead of getting attached with it, your detachment in the earlier step helps you watch the dirt flow away. But there are people who can get scared out of it. Swamiji, my mind is, I think, more agitated when I sit for meditation and doing japa. So Gurudev used to say, good. Why? People wrongly associate things. Because I am meditating, my mind is agitated. It is the other way around. It is because you are meditating, you are now conscious of the earlier existing dirt. It is not that the meditation is generating dirt, but it creates that objective mind wherein you can see these patterns of dirt. Some of them, the moment you are aware of it, gets cleansed. Some of them you have to allow them to flow by. Some of them you have to nip them at bud. When thus consciously we live every moment of life, what happens? We start leading stress-free life. We start leading let me not use stress-free life, but a guilt-free life. Because stress is an inevitable part of life that you cannot avoid. But at least we grow to the level wherein we are guilt-free. Now, what are the reasons for our guilt? We go through cycles of guilt, right? Why do we feel guilty? It's actually when you have done something wrong and later you realize that you have done wrong, is one set of guilt. That which you are not supposed to do, when you do it, it leads to guilt. There is another set of guilt. That which you are supposed to do and you did not end up doing also leads to guilt. And why do these patterns of things that we ought not to do, we end up doing, and we ought to do and we not do them? Why do these patterns exist? It is because we lead our lives pretty unconsciously. We move from day to day, moment to moment, very unconsciously, mechanically. It is as though that you are dragging our lives moment to moment. And I just make this observation, and I use it quite a number of times in my discourses. As you ask people, how are you? Any language, there is one pattern of answer that you hear. English, how are you? Very rarely I have come across people who say fantastic. Even when you hear somebody say it, you feel so brightened up. Very rarely we come across that. Instead, what do we hear as a usual pattern? Same. How are you? Same. Pulling along, hanging in there. It's so burdened that you have to drag yourself from moment to moment. That is how we are. It's not just English. Hindi. या कैसे हो? चल रहा है. It is not a bright answer wherein you say बहुत बढ़िया है. No, चल रहा है. गुजराती, सुखबर. And what do we end up saying? That is why whenever somebody asks me in Gujarati, I say jalsa ma. Saru che is also very rarely heard. Chale che. They are getting along. And that shows the texture of our life. The way we answer that simple question, it gives the texture of life. And that is because we are living our lives pretty mechanically and pretty unconsciously. It is these unconscious patterns that make our life ridden with guilt all over. But the moment we start growing conscious of every single minute detail of life, we start growing unburdened. And that unburdened existence is called guilt-free life. It does not mean that that person does not do wrong. Even if there is something wrong happened because of their various factors factored in, they are ready to accept what has gone wrong, learn from it, and then move to the next experience wiser than what they were earlier. This is what it means when it says, Ishwararpitam nechaya kritam chitta shodhakam mukti sadhakam. So, to recap these three shlokas. we give too much of importance to the world of action. Just by performing action, you don't become a karma yogi. And most of us get caught up in our actions. We do so many of them because we are anticipating a certain result, karma phala. We are anticipating it, we are expecting it. And we get pretty frustrated because we do not see the result come in at that pace, at that speed with which we want it to result in, because it is not in our hands. You will get it, but not at the exact moment in time that we want it. There are so many factors that have to be considered for the result to take shape. And because of our patterns of habit, we get addicted to these actions because of our tendencies. It's very difficult to get out of them. The only valid means to get out of these patterns or tendencies or vasana is when we can lift our minds to dedicate it to a higher altar and then perform them without the doership and enjoyership. Such actions will definitely lead to immediate satisfaction. Immediate satisfaction guarantees peaceful mind, and in that firm platform of peaceful mind, we can have moments of bliss. Such a beautiful systematic shloka. Any questions? Because with this shloka we conclude Karma Yoga. See, he goes by topic by topic. So, first he has concluded covering Karma Yoga. Next he will cover what is Bhakti Yoga. So, the subtle aspects of Bhakti Yoga he starts in the fourth shloka, which we will see on Wednesday. Yes. Their actions are called dedicated. Her question is the soldiers, when they are when they are functioning for the nation, what is it, what kind of actions are they and what do they lead to? So, the actions are called again Karma Yoga because they are dedicating it to the higher altar of nation, and such soldiers, they get Veera Swarga, they get Swarga as a result of their dedication. But before you join in, we have to understand whether the cause of that particular battle is just, and that is a choice that you can make. And when you see that that cause is not justified, you need not enroll in, because once you enroll and take that responsibility, you have to follow orders whether you like them or not. Okay. Like for example, I took Diksha 20 years ago. At that time I have the clarity carried forward from that moment. That moment I step in with that role, I am accepting it, that I would oblige to every single order given by Guruji. It is not dependent on my likes and dislikes. So, even if I don't like living in US, it comes with the package, that there are the orders and they have to be followed. That is one good way to work out of likes and dislikes. Should we wind up? 8, 10, 8, 15. Om Purnamadaha पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ओम शांति शांति शांति। हरि ओम। श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरि ओम।